In a realm long abandoned, within a castle long forgotten, there exists a concealed chamber housing a creature that has been long feared. The space we occupy is unadorned. Its walls, floors and ceilings are constructed of a meticulously crafted stone, yet devoid of any tapestries, paintings or decorative hangings. There is no furniture or seating, only a door, a window and a solitary beam of light that highlights a curved stone basin resting on a singular stone column. Within that basin lies a tranquil pool of crystal clear water. A silhouette looms over the basin, their pale hands clutching its edges, while only the lower half of their face is visible in the darkness, revealing a fixed grin. The chamber resonates with distant cries of torment, a cacophony of anguish emanating from various sources. Gradually, these cries begin to fade, transforming into a haunting silence as the intensity of pain diminishes. The sound of metal instruments twisting, grinding and shredding fills the air, followed by another scream that, like its predecessors, eventually succumbs to an unsettling silence. The figure observed begins to lean towards the basin, their hand moving through the crystalline water, causing ripples to radiate outward. The water gradually transforms into a dark and murky state, within which 6 distinct images start to materialize. The first image becomes clearer and more detailed, revealing a small, unassuming town. Within this town stands a charming yet well-appointed tavern, constructed mainly of timber and stone. The focus sharpens on one individual seated alone at a table, a small stout halfling woman with curly brown hair, who is sipping her drink while lost in contemplation. The shadowy figure hovering above the basin flashes a small grin, revealing the teeth that characterize this sinister smile. 2 of the front teeth are notably elongated and misshapen, resembling vampiric fangs. He mutters softly to himself, "Ah, there you are." Our adventure begins in the quaint town of Daggerford, situated just south of Waterdeep. Daggerford, though small, holds significant importance within the Delimbiv Vale, part of the broader Sword Coast region. Initially recognised as a farming community and often regarded by some as merely a transit point, the town harbours substantial aspirations for growth and aims to establish itself as a viable alternative to its northern counterpart, Waterdeep. The twilight sky has begun to cast its shadows, accompanied by the distant tolling of a church bell. The townspeople are engaged in the evening ritual of stowing away their wares, while children express their reluctance as they are ushered indoors. The air is filled with the lingering sense of damp cobblestones and freshly baked goods. On the periphery of the town stands a modest establishment known as the Rose and Fawn. It is neither the largest nor most frequented tavern, primarily due to the proprietor's tendency to charge exorbitant prices for their ale and their Cornish pasties. In a secluded corner of this tavern, a small halfling woman named Tilly Brightspark occupies her seat. Her long, curly brown hair is adorned with a floral headpiece, and she is draped in a flowing green robe, her brown eyes scanning the room. She sits in a quiet contemplation, absorbing the atmosphere. The main floor of the tavern is bustling with patrons of various races, genders and ages. Children dart about, gleefully playing beneath the tables, while locals share hearty laughter, recounting tales of their youth, engaging in games, or savouring a late afternoon meal with their families. As Tilly surveys the room, she observes something rather peculiar. It is not alarming, but rather amusing and intriguing. 2 tables to her right, a baboon wearing spectacles is engrossed in reading the local newspaper. seemingly engaged in conversation with a man who has what can only be described as a spider perched atop his head. Weft Webster is a figure clad in a single colour, his face pale and cracked, and his attire tattered and worn. Emerging from the mysterious regions of the Underdark, he now finds himself in an unfamiliar tavern within an equally unfamiliar town, surrounded by many topsiders. His gaze is drawn to an intelligent baboon that seems to be observing him intently from across the table. The baboon lifts its head from the newspaper it is holding and fixes its gaze on Weft. "Excuse me, are you a skilled man at solving crosswords? I have been grappling with this one for the past hour. Would you be willing to assist me?" Weft nods his head, but in confusion. This is the first one. 5 across. A man bringing presents to children once a year." Following a brief period of contemplation, Weft replies with the word Santa. He remains quite perplexed as to the reason this baboon requires assistance with a crossword puzzle, but he still listens intently. 9 down. Starts with the letter S. The clue is a voluntary or involuntary offering of a soul to appease a higher power. Once more, Weft, in response to the inquiry, provides the correct answer of sacrifice. As this brief and tumultuous exchange concludes, Weft brings up the name Tristan Winters in conversation. The baboon appears somewhat confused, but suggests that the orc bartender, known as Grunge, might possess additional information regarding this person. As Weft approaches the bar, he observes a figure who appears to be adrift at the bottom of a tankard of ale. This individual possesses slick black hair and is clad in substantial chainmail armour, with a sword hanging at his side. He is bent over the bar, his eyes reflecting a profound sadness. Asriel Luminaire Oathsworn, a human paladin, sat alone at the bar of the Rose and Vaughan Tavern. Deep in troubled thoughts, Asriel gathers his attention once more in order to ask for another drink. To his right is a lizard-like humanoid. As they meet each other's gaze, the lizard man says, "Are you right there, pal? You seem a little lost in your own thoughts there." Asriel struggles to find the words to respond to such an odd remark, but gives the lizard a strange look. "Look, pal, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm trying to offload this here slave." Lizard folk are common in some parts of Faerun. Generally pleasant folk, they are well known for being slave traders in the local area. Meeting a wealthy lizard folk will sometimes be beneficial, as they can offer the warmth of a woman if they have any currently in stock for a very reasonable price. In the hopes Asriel has been lucky enough to stumble across one of these wealthier lizards, he looks beyond him to see a creature bound in chains, shackled across the body and legs fixed, leaving no room for them to move. The slave that is bound with chains is a Ceres blade dancer, a minotaur wearing nothing but tattered clothing. 2 large ram-like horns curl down towards their face, which shows no emotion. The lizard folk says once more, "Have you taken an interest in this useless piece of shit, have you? Well, I wouldn't want you to waste your coin. The Mad Cow was what she was named when I bought her, and what a fine beast she was. Now, she does fuck all. We were attacked last night on the way here. This stupid bitch stood there and did fuck all." Once more, Aceres displays no visible emotion. Asriel, a man characterized by his integrity and his pride, addresses the lizard-like slave trader and negotiates an agreement for Aceres' release at the cost of 20 gold pieces. As the final chain is unfastened and removed, Aceres acts without delay, delivering a powerful left hook that sends the lizard crashing to the ground unconscious. She looks at Asriel and says, "Thank you." Seated in the middle of the tavern are two individuals that are sat around one of the wooden tables, enjoying the opportunity to rest their feet following a long day of travel. After encountering each other at the Green Dragon Inn in the small village of Blackbranch north of Daggerford the previous night, they agreed to travel together for safety on the road in case of bandits. The first of the two individuals is Farah Wildrick, a blonde half-elf adorned in a gracefully flowing dress with flowers delicately arranged in her hair. Opposite her sits Eladon Spring, a human female whose appearance is somewhat dishevelled, yet possesses a certain charm. She appears anxious about being in such a crowded and open setting. Following a brief conversation between Farah and Eladin, one of the high-born guards approaches their table, declaring that Eladin is wanted for alleged crimes in a neighbouring town to the east. In response, Farah rises swiftly and begins to verbally invoke a spell in an effort to prevent the arrest. As she casts the spell, a powerful surge of energy courses through her, causing her to stagger slightly. Simultaneously, a sharp pain strikes her forehead, and the word sober manifests upon it. Observing the commotion across the tavern where Farah and Eladin sit is Orion, a young male human standing alone in the corner of the room, anxiously scanning his surroundings. Dressed in black attire with his hood drawn up, he attempts to remain inconspicuous. Orion has arrived in this town and tavern, seeking information regarding a particular ship. Little is known about the vessel he seeks, but he is hopeful that someone in this vicinity, given its proximity to the Sword Coast, possesses knowledge of maritime affairs. Looking around at the people here, he spots an individual that may fit the bill, as he is dressed exactly like a pirate. Orion approaches the man, and in the most uncharismatic way as possible, he explains sheepishly if the man knows anything about ships. The man introduces himself as Scurvy Steve.
Gar, who be you then, lad? Want to know about ships, do ye? Well, look no further. You found the one man that can tell you everything there is to know.
After giving a brief description of the ship Orion seeks,
Scurvy Steve
explains that the ship he is looking for is named the Christine Rose, and to meet him at the town docks in the morning, where he will explain further. As the events within the tavern progress, and our adventurers occupy their correct and designated positions, an abrupt stillness descends upon everything and everyone present. In mere seconds, the atmosphere within the room begins to decelerate and solidify. The surroundings grow increasingly dim, as if all colour is being drained from sight. What was once a lively and bustling tavern transforms into a barren of lifeless wasteland, stripped of sound and emotion. A thick fog envelops the area, with the creeping mist infiltrating every crevice and opening, cascading down from the upper walls and ceiling. Tilly, the small halfling woman seated in the corner of the tavern, seems unaffected by the peculiar events unfolding around her. She rises from her chair and slowly walks to the centre of the now silent and still room. The expressions of the patrons are frozen in time. A small mouse can be observed in the corner, paralysed and motionless. It is as though time itself has come to a complete halt in this very instant. As Tilly gazes downward, she notices the gauntlet adorning her arm. This gauntlet, crafted from metal, features a single eye positioned on the upper side of the handpiece. The eye opens and fixes its gaze directly upon Tilly. Suddenly, a voice resonates within her mind, a soothing and gentle tone that she recognises from a previous night. This voice belongs to Helm, the god of watchfulness. It reverberates throughout the room, seemingly emanating from all directions without a discernible source.
The stranger from the dark depths, the unstable sorceress in search of lost power, the holy man with dark intent, the slave in in search of redemption. The deceived young man searching for his past.
The fog starts to move and surround the remaining individuals as they are still frozen in place. The fog moves from their feet, up around their shoulders, into eventually engulfing them completely, to which then they vanish in an instant. Weft Webster, the human druid. Farah Wildrick, the half-elf sorcerer. Azriel Luminaire Oathsworn, the human paladin. Aceris Blade Dancer, the Minotaur fighter. Orion, the human monk.
6 heroes embark, fates entangled in a web of darkness. You must protect the broken and break the curse. The clock is set. I will be watching over you, Tilly Brightspark.
One by one, our adventurers are consumed by the swirling mists, leaving Tilly alone in the now desolate tavern. The fog creeps towards her from all directions, pausing momentarily at her feet. A chill runs down her arms, and an unsettling sensation rises in her stomach, as if an unseen presence is exhaling upon the back of her neck. Just as Tilly attempts to turn around, her sight dissolves into complete darkness as the fog consumes her entirely.